What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome topics to go over, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with a little bit of a discussion on Nintendo, the format that they used for the Nintendo Switch when it comes to storage media, when it comes to games, and how I think at this point, considering what we're seeing from across the industry, Nintendo was right to go the route that they did, even though many people felt that it was a bad idea. And what I'm talking about here is SD card memory for expansion and also cartridges for the games. And of course you have digital downloads, but everybody has that. Now this can be debatable, right? Because if you're looking at it, you have all of these next generation games that are coming out and they all take advantage of the SSD and fast loading and all of this. And I completely get that, like the bullet points, the gimmicks when it comes to it, and I mean gimmicks in a good way. It all makes sense on paper, and when you see the games in terms of how fast they load and what's going on, that makes sense as well. But there is a game that came out recently that kind of tells me that, wait a minute here, there's a little bit more of optimization and great game design that plays a big part into this. And if Nintendo can tap into what made that great, they can actually move forward with a better form of media like cartridges, and also using expandable storage in order to keep the costs down, and also in order to make sure that we still have real physical games. Because at this point, when you look at what's going on with the PlayStation Store and the digital stores going down and the CMOS battery, and you can't play physical games and installing to hard drives, things look like it's going to go an all digital route, no real physical. I mean, it's already almost there. And what I'm talking about is Monster Hunter Rise. If you look at it, that game has extremely fast loading times, and for a game that's open-ended with tons of monsters and different wildlife and environment type of stuff here and there, it's kind of crazy that they were able to kind of get this going with they're going, and with all online for players running smooth. So it tells me that optimization and making sure that you know what you're doing with the hardware is probably the most important thing in terms of making sure that you have your game that's fast and the loading times aren't long. Because if you look at a game like Persona 5 Strikers on the Switch, and people are saying, oh well, the Switch, that's the problem, it just can't load fast. But then Monster Hunter Rise comes out, a game that's optimized and has its sights set on the Switch, and the load times are very good. You would think that it's like an SSD or something like that, because I'm never really waiting that long. So I think personally, some of the games that are coming out now kind of shows that Nintendo was right on that, as the developers kind of grip what the system's about and what it can do. But what I'd like to see for the future with this is that they actually advance that, make the cartridges have more space, obviously make them more affordable by using better technology and kind of saying, okay, now we can do this and this. It's not so experimental. Obviously there's stuff like the SD card storage that's going down in prices. You look at what's going on with the PlayStation and how it's taken a while for them to actually get expandable storage to where you can put games on there. They have to go roundabout ways, like, oh, you have to move it to the external HUD, but you can't play games off there. So I mean, it kind of tells me that Nintendo made the right move in that respect. But I'm a little bit scared for the future, because everyone's talking about SSDs, everyone's talking about, oh, downloading or installing games to the hard drive, and that's the only way that you play physical media. We don't need that Game Pass, stuff like this. Like, everyone's saying that that's the future, that's the future. But I still feel, based on what we've seen with the Switch, right, based on what we've seen with physical game sales, they're not gone yet. And I think that there's a lot of room to still have that real physical, to where you can trade games with your friends, you can buy and sell, you can borrow. We can still have the things that make physical games great and still go forward with digital and have fast loading times and have all that, if the right tech is used with cartridges and also SD expandable storage memory as well. So a couple things that I'm hoping going forward is that, one, SD cards get faster read speeds and all of that, so we can put our games on SD cards, still get lots of space for great prices. The terabyte is going down in price when it comes to SD cards, and the micro SD cards, you can have a terabyte for pretty good prices down, and they should be even lower. So I'm hoping that the speeds continue to get faster with the micro SD cards, and I'm also hoping that Nintendo revises what they do for the Switch cartridges going forward in the future to where they can lower the price, because that's very important, and get a lot more memory on there, so they can get like 64 gigabytes, or they can maybe even get like 100 something gigabytes on a cartridge and it not cost an arm and a leg to print those cartridges. So I'm hoping that's what Nintendo is working on diligently here going forward in the future. But I guess it's just much easier to say SSD and then just install the hard drive and not have real physical, basically have it as like a DRM check for a disc. At this point, it seems like this will be the last absolute generation for Microsoft and Sony when it comes to physical games, because everyone is just kind of going more digital, and Game Pass is kind of taking over, and PC guys have already been doing that for a very long time. So I'm hopeful for what Nintendo's doing, and I think that they were confirmed at this point. We can look back and say, okay, despite everyone saying that, oh, Nintendo was wrong on this one, they should have done this or that, like they were right on that, because we do have our real physical games, we do have our buying and selling and all of that, and there's a lot of games that people have purchased that are becoming kind of pricey, and you can actually make a little bit off of it from investing in some physical games and all that. So I think Nintendo was right on that front, but I am a little bit worried for the future and what they're going to do, because I guess it's just so much easier to say SSD, put that in there, okay, let's just do that, no more physical, right? But we'll see what goes forward, and I'm hoping that Nintendo does invest their R&D in that type of tech, and they make it affordable for the developers, so it's worth the type of support. But we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Now, the next topic that we're going to discuss is the recent Nintendo Indie World presentation. I live streamed it myself. If you want to see my full reaction to all the different games and all of my chats that I have with you guys, please make sure you check out the main page under live streams. You will see it there. I have it right there with the Indie World presentation, so you can watch my replay of it. It won't be in your sub boxes, but let's talk about some of these games that came out. Now, I'm not going to go over every single game because there were a lot. There are about 7 games that I really liked, that I thought were pretty good. There's some demos of some games that I'm going to check out as well if I haven't already done so by the time that you're watching this video. I do want to go over some of those though. So there's this game called Aerial Knights, Never Yield. It's a bit trip runner type of game, indie developer out of Detroit, so definitely have to support my man there. And there's a demo on the eShop that you guys can go check out right now at this point, and from what I understand, seems like it's pretty cool. That's launching May 19th. Also, another game that I played quite a bit back in the day, or not even really back in the day, but on my PlayStation 4, and I even played on my Switch a little bit, is Ollie Ollie World. That is a game, nice little hand-drawn graphics. They've kind of updated stuff quite a bit. It looks like it's going to be really cool. I love what they've done with Ollie Ollie World. It's a really addictive skateboarding game, and at this point in my life, I kind of like it more than playing like a game like Tony Hawk because of how straightforward it is and kind of addictive in that like runner type of format, but with skateboarding. So that's coming to all different platforms, and it's going to be out this winter as well. Now, next up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That game looks dope. I don't care what anybody says, man. Shredder's Revenge, it's coming. It's confirmed for the Nintendo Switch alongside the PC as well. It should be coming to other platforms too. Same people when it comes to the Streets of Rage. This game is actually looking really good. So yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. It's like my childhood revenge right there, man. So I'm definitely copping that. Michelangelo is looking absolutely fire. Looking forward to Donatello as well. Next up, Chris Tales, which actually has a demo on the eShop right now. I'm going to check that out too. I love the art style of this game. RPG type here. A lot of you guys have said that it's really good. It's a Japanese-inspired RPG. It also has a release date, July 20th. It's coming to all platforms in addition to Switch too. So looking forward to that. And once again, the demo is up on the eShop. Next up after that is the action game. This is a brand new IP here. Aztec Forgotten Gods. This actually looks really kind of hype here. I was surprised to see this. It's a developer out of Mexico, so I'm looking forward to this one too. Looks like the main character design looks dope, so yeah, absolutely. And it's coming out this fall as well, so this is coming to lots of different platforms, so you can get it on whatever you want. Next up is a game that kind of surprised me too, The House of the Dead. Or yeah, The House of the Dead. I mean, remake. I knew that it was something was brewing there, but I didn't know if it was going to come to Switch, and it seems like it's one of the platforms here. So we'll see what else it comes to, but House of the Dead was like the game that got me into like the light gun shooters in the arcade. So if they're remaking it, we've got some screenshots, we've got the trailer, it looks dope. So looking forward to that as well. But I think the game that kind of caught people most by surprise and kind of saying, yo, Konami is back? Maybe, just maybe, is Konami back? And that's this new IP. It's called GentsuFumaDen Undying Moon. And it's coming out for Switch and PC. Now, it's due out first, early access PC. But you can pick it up on the Nintendo Switch in 2022, and it's May 13th for early access PC, so I'm definitely going to check that out on Steam on May 13th. But I think what they're going for here is the Hades route. It definitely seems that way. You go early access on PC first, you get people playing and everything, and then these independent type of games to where you know you're not going to have as much of competition with the major titles like PlayStation and Xbox. You launch it alongside with all the updates and everything after it's on early access, feedback and all that. You launch it on the Switch same time, and you have great results because that's what Hades did. And that is a rogue-like type of game, hack and slash, different powers. This is a rogue-like hack and slash 2D type of game, though not quite like the isometric like Hades is, but I think they're going for like the same style here and the same business structure, and I think that that is a very smart plan because I think they're going to have a ton of success, and the game looks absolutely incredible. Like the weapon-based combat, the rhythm, and kind of how they describe the game is, like the enhancement system that they have for it, the Devour power-up system. I mean, there's a lot of cool things about this game and what they've explained so far from the description on the Steam page. I'll have a link for you guys on that too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this GentsuFumaDen game, Undying Moon. I think that Konami is maybe somewhat back here when it comes down to it. So good stuff all around. That indie world showcase was actually really good. I enjoyed it, and it wasn't too long, didn't overstay its welcome, and we got to see developers from across the world, all different walks of life, different skin shades and tones and ethnicities and people and everybody. And that's what I love to see, kind of gathering all of these inspired developers to have a diverse range of products for people to go out there and play on a variety of platforms, man. So I'm very, very happy for these developers and happy that overall people thought the show was fantastic. So what are your thoughts on the games here? What were your best announcements for it? And what do you think about what's going on with the Nintendo Switch and the storage and the media in the future and what they're going to do going forward? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go to give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.